All right, so with all that said, I would like to introduce the first presenter in this new format. The reason why this student stood out is he really used the portfolio, the project and portfolio space, to challenge himself, which is one of the goals for project and portfolio. By the end of the degree, you have a collection of works, something that you're proud of, that you're able to show the outside world. And we have a number of projects that get developed in that space, but we also ask students to challenge themselves and push their skills as far as you can go. So this student is a great example of that, and today he's going to talk a little bit about the work that he did in the first portfolio class. I've said enough, so please welcome to the stage Luke Billington.
Hello, everyone. I am Luke Billington, and I am currently in my 6th month in my web design and development program. And I just want to take a few minutes to kind of show you what I've been working on. Been having a blast here, so yeah. So I really decided it was important when coming to Full Sail to focus on what I wanted to do. I kind of had some issues in the past of just staying focused and working on my stuff, but I realized now it's time to take myself seriously. And when I first walked in, one of the very first few things I saw was this awesome wall in one of the buildings here. And I like it for 2 reasons. One, it uses 3D projection mapping, which is a project I've been working on myself, kind of on my downtime. And 2, it has an important message that I take with me and inspires me to keep going forward with my work every day. And yeah, so to keep myself kind of pushed forward, I've been spending countless nights, even here overnight at school, just working on my projects and enjoying what I do, but challenging myself and trying new things and implementing different techniques into my code that just aren't your normal things that you'd be learning it right away. But I've also taken advantage of like open labs and GPS workshops and events like that here on campus, and they really do support you. And a lot of the faculty here has been really helpful to make sure that I am on to getting cool things done. So, and they're happy to help with all sorts of projects, even beyond what the scope of the classes are. So here's an example of a project. It'll look something just like this. I would have taken my Scalable Data Infrastructures class a couple months back. And this project has definitely inspired me to kind of push myself a little bit more. So what it'd be is an RPG-style game where you have 2 different players and you decrement their health until one of them wins and somebody loses, and then you find out who the winner is. But I want to take that kind of to a whole different level and make an actual game that people can play. So this is an actual interactive game, and it uses various techniques to bring this together. And I just want to kind of focus on classes and objects. But you can pick different players in your game here, and they all have different traits and abilities, and some are stronger at certain things than others. Then you're randomly matched with an opponent. And so in this case, each round starts with where you roll a dice, and that dice is the number of moves that you can move throughout the game. And you have a game board. And so you can actually move around on this game board, and your opponent will play against you. And I had to create a little bit of an artificial AI to make it so the game would be difficult. But then you attack them each round, and depending on some random multipliers and how far you are away, the further you are away from your opponent, the less damage you do to them, and less damage they do to you. But the closer you get, the more. But yeah, with that, it got kind of fun, but the round kind of started getting a little bit boring. So I decided to make it so the board gets smaller as you go on. And the game turned out to be quite fun, and it was just kind of a fun way to challenge myself, but I wanted to push myself even further. So I decided to add a database to it. And so now this game also supports multiplayers and does it over a database network and communications, so it makes it fun for multiple people to play it against each other. I used various techniques to bring this program together. The whole thing was written in C#, but I used source control to keep track of my work, and decided I want to take apart games because I was kind of researching different games out there, and I did reverse engineering of some online games and some games that are even physical games, and just analyzed how each round works, how it all can be interesting to play, and I wanted to factor that into my actual project. So that was how I kind of reverse engineered it and applied it into my code snippets and such to put it all together. But then I of course, wanted to do some documentation because it started to get a little bit complex after I started adding more and more classes and objects and other elements in my code that just kind of got a little bit more confusing. So I kind of had to keep myself on the same page and keep in focus of what I wanted to actually get done. In my project and portfolio class, I learned about agile workflows, and that's how I kept myself on pace. So each week I kind of challenged myself to a new task and then review it and send it and have friends and peer review and a whole bunch of different little factors that went on, and I just keep doing that as a little cycle to keep my game continually improving. This did go with some challenges though. I especially had some issues with implementing the database, since it is real time and you're constantly changing numbers, and sometimes you'd overwrite over something else that somebody else did, and I had to make sure that was not happening. So a few fixes here and there, and definitely keeping track of my time. Sometimes I went a little bit over than what I budgeted and kind of got some code exhaustion, which definitely is a thing to keep in mind so you don't burn yourself out and get bored with what you're doing either. But overall, from what I've taken from this, I've been able to apply it to some other personal projects that I can hopefully use in the future. So I've been taking some of these code samples and actually fundamental concepts and applying it to my own websites and such that I've had from kind of previous knowledge, but really building upon it from what I've learned in this class. So the hard work I do, I always want to put it in my projects, and it certainly paid off. You know, sometimes there are nights where my friends are out having fun, and I just want to stay back and get some projects done. And I know it's kind of a bummer at first, but when you actually see the final product of what things do, it really pays off and is rewarding, and I can kind of learn more in the future. And I really want to take advantage of all the time I have here. So, yeah, so far that's my project there. I'm Luke Billington, and thank you very much, guys.